Okay, so I will be discussing more about the reporting as a service. So I got to know that you have a quite heavy idea about reporting, and you have done your reporting trainings. So today we are going to touch based on the outbound integrations of reporting. Uh, and along with that, we will also discuss where we can use reports in more detail, like for example, BERT reports, and as well as how can we help other systems to access Workday uh, from other data and other systems to get the data or to put any information on the mass load. Uh, there are a lot of amazing things with the reports. We can use advanced report as a direct integration. That means you can just provide the link to others and username and password, and they can use your web service or the reports and fetch the data which they are looking for. We can also use the output, the report data or the report directly in our EIBs to extract the data from Workday and provide to the source system, either in SFTP or any other special location. Similarly, we can use the same reports like which you have developed previously in the BERT designer, report designer. We may not able to touch the BERT report in current class, but in the current class, we will be covering at least point 1 and 2, that using web service and EIB. So let's start with the report as a service. Uh, we all, when we are creating a same custom report as an advanced custom report, there is always a way through which we can enable uh, the report as a web service. Let me share. So when you are clicking on the create custom report and advanced, and there is an option enable as a web service. Once you click on this, this will be available as a web service. It's not really difficult. It's just as soon as you click on this, it will be available as a web service. So that's the same advanced report we are using. There are some URLs which we are going to use. There are a username and password which we are going to discuss, and the URL we are going to provide to the vendors. Workday output is normally, or the report we developed is normally they are in CSV file, JSON file, or simple XML and Workday XMLs, which we are going most commonly using these things in external vendors. We are providing these information to the external vendors or using it for various purposes within Workday. So as I showed you that reporting as a service, you just enable this link and it will make your report as a web service. As well as if you click on this is a check by default, and it will be only searching the optimized data source, which are having some parameters. So it may not bring all the data sources which we need. So we have to uncheck this thing. And let's, for our working purpose, we use all worker data object for creating a small simple report. So the difference between normal reports which you have done so far is you have a field, column field. But in XML, we have an XML alias, which is used by our report and the vendors in their XMLs. We'll just make a small report with the first name, last name. I did dependent information. Their relationship. and dependent first name and last name. And this is a real life scenario. Let's say that we are going to integrate with our healthcare system where we need to provide our dependent information along with the employee hire date and their first name and last name, so that they will create information in their system about these people. When we are using business EIB's report as a RaaS, we normally have this information already populated for us, like the column headings. Look at this: the first name and last name, hire date, relationship, legal name, first name, legal name, last name. Now, as I'm doing it for someone, I may need to change the name which they understand or they provide uh, their required name. So we are going to use those things. So for normally we use employee first name, employee last name, hire date, because it's a dependent. So I will use dependent relationship, dependent first name, and dependent last name. As these are the XML names, and it may use for some coding purpose by the vendor or by us. So the name should be pretty much simple, and it will be more sensible, where the customer or the vendor will understand that what that means, and they can use it simply. We do not need to make our long names. It might be difficult to write those names again and again. Uh, in case of these EIBs or the web service report, we need to use the group column heading. It is mandatory. If we do not use it, it will throw an error. This column heading is telling us, like, if it is a repetitive information, it means that one-to-many relationship, one worker has a many dependents. So it will repeat in itself. Okay, so I will just filter it for a few people, so it will be easier to bring the information and run the report. Okay, so let's say you may forget the report, like making it as a web service. In that case, you may go to advanced and click on this enabling as a web service again, and it will make your report as a web service enabled. This is a namespace. Namespace is really important in cases of where we are providing information to the external party, or we are developing this thing in using this report in Workday Studio or any other integration areas. I will be covering this thing in more detail in the next slide and when we are using the web services. So now our report is ready as a web service. We go to the action. We use view URL, web services, view URLs. Here we have various type of options which we discussed in the slides. That is Workday XML, simple XML, CSV, GData, RSS, and JSON. Generally, all the integrations are using Workday XML or the simple XML or JSON based. JSON is a Java scripting language. Along with this, we have a XSD WSDL for both. And these are the signatures which we normally provided to the end party. We share these WSDLs or XSD for our vendors so that they can do all the programming at their site. This is the signatures, or this is uh, the the format in the documents which normally they use. We are not going to discuss XSD because I guess most people are not technical, but this is how it's shaped. Uh, just give me a moment. Let me open the file. Whenever we create the report is like this. The output will be like this. It may confusing when we are starting, but it's not if we understand the things. This is your primary data, the report output, the main structure. This is the repetition of each record, and this is the information within the record. This is a repetitive column which is repeat in itself. If we have multiple columns or multiple URLs, it will repeat. So it's simple, like whenever we are going and providing these web services, we can go into the view URLs and we send the link to them. And when we are saying that link, we do not need to understand a lot of things in web service by ourselves. We just provide this link to the vendor and they understand that. As a functional consultant, if someone asks us to provide this report, we just create this report in system and provide this link to them, and they can use this information by themselves. They can read and they can understand as per their requirement. Anyone who is working on these accessibilities and wisdom, they do understand all these languages. So in case of providing this information, you just need to give this link to the end party and they can open it. They do need a username and password, which we do not use in the shared tenants, but this can be used for any other web area. Does this make sense?
So our job on our side, when a vendor requests a web service integration, is just to create the advanced report, and then you select it as an advanced report and select it as a web service, and then give them the URL. So you don't have to be so scared about the layout and the format that we saw. As long as we provide them this URL and the username and password, then they will enter this into their system, and they could then retrieve the data. That's pretty straightforward on that.
Okay, so we are not going to work on most of the things we have already discussed about the web services, and simply the JSON is almost same but a different version. In web service, we have information, or XML, we have information tags like this, WD, ID, and Workday ID. Whereas in JSON, it's the same, like report entry here, and then the first name and their information. Well, now we have already done the RaaS system, so you know how to create a report and you can use these things to others. As a functional consultant, we may not need this information at all. We may not need to understand the JSON or XML. It's the technical people who normally understand these things and they use it. We may need to provide that link only, and in case of EIBs, we may need to use those reports to make it web service enabled and using our EIBs. So when I said the EIB is an enterprise interface builder. This is used to simply integrate any system inbound and outbound. It may be from Workday to external endpoint and from endpoint to Workday. EIBs give you a framework to build your own integrations based on your unique business requirement. More or the above all, when you are a functional consultant, you need to load the data in the system from any uh, files or any formats. This file and formats or this data will be uploaded to the Excel file. I'm going to show you those Excel files. These are using through this EIBs. We do not need to be a technical at all to understand those EIBs or to develop those to fill those files. Actually, functional consultant easily pick and fill those EIBs than any technical person because they have to know the whole transaction logs and the transaction areas. Inbound is always like when you are putting data in Workday, and outbound is when we are taking data out from Workday to other systems. So inbound normally used as either as an attachment from Workday, REST URIs, or any technical area, SFTP, FTP, or any endpoint. Like endpoint means any folder on any laptop or any servers, and we are going to use that. Make sense? Take an example of inbound integrations. We have just implemented Workday in any of the company, and we have 5,000 employees which need to be hired in Workday. So either there is a way that we can upload the data, enter the information manually, which is a really messy job and quite time-consuming job. It may need approval and a lot of other things. Whereas in Workday, if I need to upload the data through EIBs, it's just like filling those data sheets and upload in Workday. That's much more easier and simple. There might be a way when we have a compensation change, like year end, there is a salary change process, and we need to upload the salary change for 5,000 employees. We can do it in anywhere in Excel, and we just upload the data back to Workday. That's the two basic examples in HR we normally use. There are accounting journals, there are different other things, but like hire and creating or the changing your compensation every year is a very frequently used task in Workday. And this is normally a functional consultant does that. In case of outbound integration, we have already discussed that, let's say we have a vendor who is not capable to read our system file or the web service. In that case, we just need to provide the CSV data. Provide the CSV data, there is a multiple options. Either we extract the data weekly or monthly from our system. We can change the headings in Excel sheet and provide those files to them. Or we can create a CSV file from Workday and place it either their FTP location, or maybe it will send an attachment to us through email or in Workday. And we can just download the file and send it to our vendor directly. Does this make sense for you people to understand this this whole scenario, like how to use inbound and outbound integrations? Any question about inbound and outbound or the difference between that? It's just an import data and export data. EIB is like just a easiest thing we can do. It's like just a visit which can help you creating the whole scenario. It's like just next and next and enter the data. For example, in case of EIBs, we just need to use the task create EIB. In create EIB, we put the name. There is always a unique name which should be as per the organization requirement or how they are looking for. The naming convention of your organization should be followed. It is more like to understand what you are doing, and it is again to tell others to use that thing and not to create EIPs again and again in your system. It's the same for inbound and outbound. Both tasks, we have the same area, create inbound EIPs, and we have to choose either inbound or outbound. Once you are creating name, it will be as per your organization structure. This ID is generally generated by system. We can change this information, but we do not. The description allow us to put some information about this EIP so that our other colleagues or developers, they do understand what that EIP does and how it can be used. It's a documentation of that EIP in a small format available within the system. So when you are creating EIP, there is a get data. Get data means from where you want to extract data. This is so in case of inbound integration, that data extraction will be either from attachment of file launch, which is you do it by yourself from the browser when you are running this integration. You can select or put any FTP location or SFTP location or any web URL from which we directly extract the data in our system. Once we able to extract the data, we need to use which data field or the web service we are going to use in Workday, which method we are going to use in Workday, or which function we are going to use in Workday to upload the data. For example, in case of compensation change, we call it as a request compensation change. Let's try to create a one simple EIB for uploading the request compensation change and see how it works. As I mentioned, that the task is create EIB. So in EIB, we need to name this EIB slightly a right way. So Workday inbound compensation change is my integration name, and it's the EIB, so I want to mention it here. The information will show me that it's an inbound compensation change. Whenever I'm going to do it, it will be the same I will be used. So it's an inbound, so I will be using inbound. If you see that this is the same screen which we are using. This is a name and this is a system generated ID. We can change it or we may not. It depends on our requirement. Description. Will be used for yearly salary change. So the retrieval method or the data source method which we have discussed, SFTP, FTP, and any other retrieval methods. Even though we can do with the Amazon Simple Storage Service too. I will be going to use attach file as a launch parameter. So when we are going to upload the data, what type of method we are going to use? In case of position change, or the create position, If you want to create position, you use create position task. Right? It's the same task which you are using for the functionally on system. So request compensation task we are going to use now. So we do not need to do any transformation on this. This is system will help us in doing all these things. It's delivery, it's fine, and our EIB is ready now. Now, once the EIB is ready, we need to use, we do not know in which format we have to data upload. We cannot load any CSV file or any file. We need to create or generate that file in our system. Right? So in able to create those files, you need to go to the action and template model and generate template sheet. You can view that template sheet too before generating it, what information is required. And once you see whatever is required is fine, if not, then you can edit it. And you can generate spreadsheet template after making changes. There are two type of formats available for uploading these sheets. One is XML, another is XLSX. XML is the old version, and it was using since update 33. In update 33, they have come up with a new format. Now you can get the Excel file, and you can upload the data directly in Excel. Still, we use the XML and confirm. Once this file is ready, you can see that request compensation change template is appearing on your inbox on the right-hand side. Click on here, it will be downloaded into your system. And if you see, this is a request compensation change. You can open with Excel file. So it's simple Excel. In this Excel, there is a request compensation change template, what we want to do. Either we want to manual processing, that means we want approval from our manager, automatic processing, run now with automatic processing. Generally, when you are uploading data from EIB, you want to skip all the approvals. You do not want any approvals. If you want any approval, you can click on the manual processing, right? You can also put the comments like this is an annual change. This will disappear. This will be appear as a comment on your EIB load. This will be available for all the people who can see that this is an annual review or annual salary change, along with your reasons. This is a simple step what we want to do with this. The most important is this EIB or this second sheet, request compensation change. It has a lot of areas which we can use, but it is nothing to worry about. They have a lot of information, but we need simple few information. Request spreadsheet keys, which is always unique. It should be unique. have 5 columns, it should be 5. I normally use employee ID if I have to upload the salary only. But if I have to change some allowances too, and it may have a multiple allowance, I cannot use the employee ID. Employee ID is a Workday ID, which is normally available for all employees. In case you do not have these employee IDs, you may create a report and you extract all the employee IDs and their names from the system. I'm just mentioning like anything. Position ID is not mandatory and it's optional, so I do not use it. Date, when I want to update this date. This is a really important field. When you want this change to be appear in Workday, the effective change date. If I'll come to Workday again, and I will show you which date we are talking about. We are talking about this date, the date when this salary is active. If it is in past, and if you have already integrated your Workday with other systems, or even if it is not integrated, it has their own payroll, it will do the, the retroactive dates or the amounts, and then it will sum up all the amount difference in this and calculate it automatically and send to that payroll. So it is really important to understand this date and change as per requirement. The same date here on the effective date. So we are just making the date for 1st of July. Are we want this compensation change on next period? If it is next period, then it will not be July. It will be just empty tag. If it is not the if it is the next period, then it should be 1st of August. It means the next pay period. These reasons are important. These reasons are when you want to change. Like if I see here, show you here. These reasons we are talking about. Merit performance, annual performance appraisal. Make sense? But this reason is not how we are going to use it. We are going to use Workday IDs. If you look here, so these should be the IDs, general event subcategories IDs. It should not be the name, it should be IDs. So we'll just see that how to extract IDs. In order to extract IDs, we have to use maintain reference IDs. And if you look at here, it's a general event subcategory. So I will try to use general event subcategory. and it will bring all the IDs. Now I know that it's a merit increase for me. I took it from that employee. Let me open that employee again. And I see that it's a merit performance annual performance appraisal. So instead of walking through each and again subject, I will just try to look for merit. Still, it's quite a lot. One-time incentive, merit performance ad hoc. So I am looking for merit increase in responsibility, change in performance ad hoc, and appraisal. So I need to use this information in my EIB. Make sense? If it is not the annual and it's an ad hoc, I need to use the ad hoc one. This information normally used for this reason is normally used in the different reports where manager they want to use or they want to verify what's wrong and what's there. And then I do not need this all information, override compensation, calculations, and nothing. I do not need it. I just want to change the salary. So this is a salary area, the pay plan date data. If you see it from the top, it's a pay plan date. And I just need to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I just need to change the amount. And that's it. You do not need to fill all things. It will come up automatically. The only thing which is important is these three. You have to choose one. Either you want to change the whole amount, like you want to upload a new salary, you want to add a percentage, like if you do not want to add the salary and just say it's like for everybody is a 4%, 3, 4, 5, 3, something like that, then it's a percentage we will be going to use. If not, we can also change into the change amount. That means if it is 25,000, it will add in previous salary, it will add this thing. Outbound EIB. Outbound is again, as we see that we can import the data, similarly we can export the data. Exporting data is comparatively easy. There is always like two portions of the integration. One is to extract the data. Extraction is either done by custom report or some web services. Generally, when we are using EIBs, we use custom reports, and when we are using other cloud connection, other things, then we are using either connectors provided by Workday or custom reports during the document transformations. So for the only simple EIBs, we are going to create custom reports, which we have already created today. One, and we are going to use the same report throughout the class. So just consider that our report, like which we just created few minutes back in the previous, is like to provide the information of an employee to the healthcare system, where we are going to provide the hire date, and we are going to provide the dependent information. And this integration will provide the data to the healthcare system. So in order to create EIB, we have to just use the same task, create EIB. Okay, so the reason I'm using outbound integration or EIB is to mention that it's an outbound integration. So no one needs to go and see by changing it. They can already see by using these names. And previously we used inbound integration. Now we are going to use outbound integration. We click OK. And we are, again, we can add some descriptions here. We are not going to change anything. This is just integration for outbound. Right, so this is just the information. I click on next. Custom sources report, and the report is like I created earlier. So it's a custom report RaaS. I want to see that if it is correct. I just have a quick look. Right, this is correct. The only thing which is important to know, if your integration or report is not a web service enabled, then you cannot see it here. Take an example of, I have another report, yes, in outbound report, right? So I'll just open it in the another tab, and I will make it, I will remove it as a EIP. So now it's not a web service enabled report, right? So if you see it here, you will not see that report, this one. This is disappeared from this. And this is normally when we are doing these things in our practical life or in interviews, this may have a question, or people may ask you that if a person report is not EIP enabled or the web service enabled, can we see it in the outbound integration? And that answer is no, we cannot until it's not web service enabled. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I just select as a report name, simple. Transformation type, there are different type of transformations. You can do like a custom transformation by yourself, or you can use a transformation provided by Workday. So I just use the transformation provided by Workday. Delivery methods. In delivery methods, we have a lot of areas. Either we are providing on some external systems like Amazon, AS2, email, FTP, FTP, SSL, HTTPS, SFTP, or use existing delivery methods, or using Workday attachment. In case of email attachment, we need to have encrypt the file. We are going to discuss it like after completing this area. But for now, we are going to use Workday attachment. We need to have a name for this integration, whatever that is, like my healthcare test output. Generally, we do not need spaces in the name, so that some systems may read this without space and some may not. So we are just trying to use some areas so that everybody can read it. And next. And now your integration is ready. This is like your transformation done by Workday. Okay. Action. Again, in action, you go into the integration system and launch and schedule. Run now. And that's system will allow us to even change the name now of the file. I do not want to change the name. I just simply run it. And I received the output file. It's in CSV. So let's see what happened. And it opened. Logan McNeil. Hire date is 1st January 2000, and he has 2 dependents. Pedro. He has 3 dependents. Robert has no one, and Harry has 1. So that's the output from our report, and that's what our system would read. That's the file we will be providing to our healthcare partner. Make sense? Now, this is like a simple CSV file. I want to, like my vendor, he wants to make it in CSV file and in text file. So I go to the action. I go to the enterprise interface and configure transformation. Right? Click on this. Use fixed width. Or delimiter. For now, it says comma. I want to use with the pipe. As a delimiter. Line feet, like it will.
Would you explain why would we need transformation?
Right, I'll do that. Okay, so our vendor, he is looking for a file with the pipelines delimiter. That means they have already built in some connector or some logic which is reading the column after the pipe. Like for example, if the name is first name, they will always say that after pipe, read the second column, and after the pipe, read the third column automatically. They have already built their connectors with a lot of other companies and a lot of other technologies, and they will not going to change it for us because it's only we are going to change. So here we need to use this different type of limited files name so that it will be used and helpful for them not to change or not to make any more hoops in between. Okay, so this is the same, like the same information. We do not need to put any information here. If the last name is coming from the system, hire date, relationship, and everything is coming from the system. We can do the left padding or right padding depending on the requirement. In some cases, we just have to fill with zeros, like there will be 20 characters and everything will be zero if it is not used. So in that case, we fill with the left padding 000 or something right padding of that specific width. Now you see my file in Notepad, right? So my vendor, he wants always everything will be in this column. Like this. It's a fixed width column. So it will be always 11 characters. If it is more than 11, then he wants to truncate it, like to make it 11. If it is less than 11, he wants to add spaces or he wants to add zeros. Because their system is made like that they skip zeros if it is before the name or anything. So padding is always when the system is already pre-configured and they have some special type of thing in their system. So we always pad and we make it 11. So in this case, it will be 3 zeros and 4. So now see that everything seems similar. If you see the name, it's always same. So the padding is always like when your vendor or your partner is asking to add something before the name. it can more than 11. If they said that they are able to accept 200 characters, then it will be 200. But if it is they cannot accept the long name, let's say this is like a name of Pedro is like this, and they said that if it is more than 11, just cut last digits. That's possible to cut it, like to truncate it.
But bottom line is the vendor will tell us the file, the length of that field. So if they say here they want, especially in like an account number, they want to add 2 zeros in the beginning. So you need to pad it with 2 zeros. So based on the vendor's requirement, you will add any padding if required.
Okay, the thing is like the integration or the transformation is or the requirement understanding of the or sometimes I do not understand like why vendor is so rigid to ask these things, but over longer period of things we understand that if they want to change one thing in their end, that means like there are 20, 30 different companies which are integrated or using their system, and changing one person is easier instead of changing for 20 companies, 20 different systems too. So they allow us or they request uh, us to change the transformation according to their understanding, so that they can import the file directly without making any change. Like for example, if you see our EIB, I'll try to open this one. So what if someone is adding like the same information like this? It does not upload in the system, right? Because it is not on the right area. So similarly, the transformation make you or allow you to make all these things what a vendor is required. The other example of transformation is in Workday, we start IDs with 110 and 111 and 112 and 123, 124. But the payroll system or the R system, they can only have 10 characters ID. So if we are providing this information, it will not upload. So we have to provide like this configure transformation. If you try to use it like several times, it will fail. It doesn't matter, but it will allow you to run it again, and you will learn. For example, I want to do it a fixed parameter. Like right now, you see that it's a pipeline, but now I want the first name on to use 20 characters or 30 characters and everything as a 30 characters. So what I need to do is just to use a fixed length, and that means I need to add padding here, and I can add this information like this. See, now they are adding pads like the dash in the name. And here is the right pad, and then the right pad. And if I click it, and if I now when I run this file, it will be slightly different than I did it previously. So it's just like a practice and trying 2-3 versions, and you will see the data in the different ways. Now, did you see that it's automatically added spaces for us? Now my system, like whichever system I'm using, it tells me that this is the first name, this is the second name, this is date, and see that I'm cutting zeros, like, but I didn't able to cut home. I didn't put like 8, 10, 10 characters. I think I put 12. The child, I need to use 1, right? If I need to use the first character, I need to use T.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just you need to use various versions. It's simple. And once you are trying to use it again and again, you will find out like how it works. I'll just explain it in the presentation format too. Let me try to make a small presentation here. And let's say we have, this is our system. Let's say banks. We all work with the banks, right? Banks are to send a or to disperse our file. And there are various systems here. Various companies are connected with banks in some special format. So when we are coming here to connect with this bank, we will not use our format. We will be going to use their format, what bank is requiring. So probably they are more specific and they want a file in fixed format. Banks are special formats, so I'm not going to discuss those formats, but banks may need a fixed format of, let's say, the first name exactly, this of 50 characters, and then the last name of 50 characters, and there your bank account number with 00 on the left hand side before the original bank account stands there, and then the date when you want to disperse the amount and the amount of 20 characters, starting with 00 and then amount and then the currency. This is one of the example I have quickly in my mind where you normally integrate with banks to disperse the salary. Then the second biggest example is your Active Directory, your email accounts. In your local email accounts, there is always, I don't know, there are various Outlook files, but normally most of us are using Microsoft Outlook. And in backend of Microsoft is the Active Directory. Active Directory normally reads the CSV file, which is developed in, I think, in somewhere when we have started 1900 something 1998 or 2000, and we are still using those CSV connectors who will read our CSV files to generate an email. So in that case, we will just provide the hire name, first name, last name, start date of person or the hire date, and the termination date, and it will generate the read it in the CSV file and generate our email account. And when it gets the same termination date in the same file, it will terminate that account. This is the second example, and that is the CSV file, whereas in bank it's a fixed length file. Then it will always use the same one, like which you have already used. You do not use the new one again and again. You will only use the changes or the EIPs when you want to differentiate from the current to the new version, like either you are changing your request compensation change to the upgrade versions of the web service, or you are using hide EIB or other thing which you didn't create it yet. If it is a compensation change, don't create it again and again. Similarly, if like this is the outbound integration, if you want to schedule it, like let's say we want to schedule this integration, we do not want to call it again and again, go and launch it. I want to schedule it weekly. Let's say our integration will run weekly. So here you can go on integration, run schedule, instead of run now, you change it to when you want to run. It can be monthly, weekly, daily, hourly, once in a future. So let's do it daily. And then you can schedule time. Let's say 12 a.m. and it will be from tomorrow, let's say, till next year. So it will run daily. And it means to run on every weekdays. And if you want to run it, schedule it instead of weekly, you may do it for once a month. When you are doing once a month, you need to tell when, which day of the month, like first, last, when you want to run. The rest are same, but just you have to select the date. If you do not want to run it on the first week, you can say the first Monday of the month. Like sometimes it's like year, so that we do not run it, right? So we need to run it on that specific day. Like we do not want to run on Saturday or Sunday. We just want it on the first Monday, whenever it is. It may be the first of the month, or it may be on third of the month, which is first Monday.
May I just add that when you're scheduling it for the future, Workday does have a limitation on how far into the future you could schedule something. So I believe it's just 2 years. And then after that, you have to reschedule. So best practice would be at the end of every year, you look at everything that's been scheduled and look at the end date. So if anything's approaching an end date, you proactively extend it. What I'm gonna do, or what we will do, is give you guys templates for the load files. So I'll post them on the LMS blog. So you will have ready-to-go templates that you can use in real life for uploading into Workday. So for example, the most difficult part in loading data into Workday is, hey, what do I populate on the template? Because the template has so many columns, right? I think the template has like 75 different columns for different scenarios. I will attach that, and that will tell you, hey, these are the only exact columns you need to populate if you want to do a compensation change, or for job changes, which columns need to be populated, because that's the most difficult part in all of this. And I think that's what really will differentiate this training, to give you those real life templates. And then in the account that you have when you're logging into the tenant, you will just update the employee numbers to match the employee numbers that are in your tenant, and then you could change the data. But at least you will have the exact template, and then you will use that template in that EIB that you could create using the screenshots. So that's something I hope to load into the LMS today. And then we'll continue tomorrow with another transformation example, and then we'll connect with Cloud Connect.